Hello there guys, welcome back. We're just going to do the last part here before so we can finalize this. I think what we had so far last time, just to recap, was we had the albedo, which was that color there. We just merged on top the diffuse. We added the glass, then we added the specular, then we added the diffuse, the indirect diffuse, and then indirect specular. And then we added the original background here. Now, if we said that we have an issue, we do the alpha gain again, pretty much we're killing the whatever we just done. So we cannot do that. So what we have to do is, a solution to this would be to have the background merge before these two. Okay, and the reason for that is because we need to tell, let me show you here what happens. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna merge this, but just remember that I can use an alpha on this entry on the merge as a mask to say, hey, only this bit around here is the one that's going to be merged, the rest is going to be the background. So we can get that from the original beauty pass. You remember the beauty pass? We have an alpha there, so we can tell them, hey, whatever is white, just pass on the information, and then whatever is black, just keep the background. So we can take from here directly from the beauty, connect it directly into the alpha, and then we pretty much have what we want, you see? So that was before. See, it was black there, and then that's now. So now we have that. But what happened is, because at this point here, for example, in the indirect, it's very subtle anyway, but indirect diffuse, you can see there's a little bit of a color on the floor there, or in the table. So if we do this method as it is now, we're killing this little bit of red there, because the alpha of this, whatever is y, it's telling us, hey, only where this. It's not going to take into account there's a little bit of a red there. So in order to do that, to keep that little bit of a red there, what we had to do is we had to merge this, the final background, before we add these two guys. Okay, so I'm going to do is I'm going to move them back. I'm going to disconnect them first. Okay, I'll take this out. I'm just going to put them in here. So I'm going to connect it here. So I'm going to go here into there, and then from there to here. Okay. And then I'm gonna reconnect the beauty here, and the mask had to be in the blue one. And then here we have that as we are, but you see we don't have the indirect specular with the indirect diffuse. So if we put the indirect diffuse, you remember that little bit of red there, you might be able to see it's very subtle. You can see, for example, if I disable this by pressing, you can see it's a little bit of a red casting around here. It's very subtle. See? Well, all these little things are the ones that sell the thing. So probably let me see if I can show you by just putting the gamma down, perhaps the gain, perhaps. Let's have a look. No, it doesn't do that. Maybe this. No, it's very subtle. I would say it's just very difficult to see, but you can see here and then there's a little bit of a red popping here and there. And that's from the floor. So we add in that afterwards, so we don't. We do it after the other way as just showing you, then it will kill it because it's only respecting the alpha. So we add the specular there as well. The specular is not okay because it's okay because I'm not putting specularity on the table. I only put specularity on the element. So once you have that, then you are ready to go. So you have pretty much this as it is, the image, solid alpha. That's fine. Then what we're going to do last bit is the shadow. Now the shadow pass, which is the one that I grabbed from here, which is the hold down, well, pretty much I did this and I rename it, I call it shadow. So this one here, what I'm doing is I'm going to use it, okay, to just color correct the part here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to type here, I'm going to press Control Space Bar, and I'm going to type color corrector. Okay, we add this and we just connect the output of this to the input, the yellow one. So the background is the input one, and this is called the reference, but that's something else. But so the color corrector is just pretty much to color correct the whole thing. What we're going to do is we're going to make it dark where the shadows are, you see, but obviously we don't want it dark everywhere, so we have to find a way to have a alpha. So I'm going to take this, okay, and this is the alpha. Now for some reason, guys, I had an issue when I rendered it. I don't know why it came out like this, but I'm just going to bypass it for now, and I'm going to ignore this, but I just don't know what happened to my render that gave me this sort of, but you shouldn't have an issue like that. I don't know why mine gave that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blur it. So I'm going to put a blur node. What you have to do is just take this, okay, as it is, and you just press Control control space bar, and you type blur. I'm just gonna blur, just like a Photoshop filter, but it's a no for that. And then you can tell in here how much the blur size you want it. So I don't know, something like this. And then I'm gonna use another no, because at the moment you go red, green, blue, okay, and alpha is solid, but we want one of these channels here. Okay, we don't want to use, because the alphas that we're going to connect here to color correct, it has to be one channel. So there is one node for that. So we're going to press Control Space Bar. It's called bitmap. So you type bitmap, you add that, then you connect this in here. Okay, and the bitmap, what it says is pretty much create me the alpha from, or the channel that we're going to produce. You can choose red, they're all the same, red, green, or blue, it's roughly the same. Or you could just use the luminance and give me an average of everything. So I will have now one single channel that I can connect directly here into the blue channel, which is the mask. So when I view this, okay, and if I want to do something like the gamma down, you see it will only happen where that black and white image is. Okay, something like that. Just like I said, ignore the fact that we have these issues there. I don't know what that was, but it's too late for that. So you can see you can make it brighter if you want, but you can just make it a little bit darker, something like this. It's very subtle anyway, the shadows in here. So once you have that, then you need to you remember that image is too big to render, so we're gonna type Control Space Bar and then put a resize node, so we can resize this image. Okay, now I'm going to resize it to 1920 by 1080, but makes everything looks very squished. Okay, by default 1920 by 1080, because that's the default project size here. Okay, so what you can do, you can say keep the frame aspect, I think, yeah, and it will make it maybe not like this. You have to keep, I mean, 1920 by 1080 looks squished. So you could another thing you can do is you can scale it down if you want, but you have to resize it anyway. But you can do, you hit the button keep frame aspect, and then you don't want to change the width. You don't want to, because the maximum you can do is 1920 by 1080, I think. So what you can do is you can just I think it's Ultra HD perhaps the maximum, but anyway, so you just click here, and then you have something that's slightly smaller. Oops, again. Just let's put it back the way again. So we have 1920 by 1080, keep aspect, frame aspect, and then here you click this one to bring it back, and it will automatically adjust the other one. So you will have something that is not 100% 1920 by 1080, but at least it respects the sort of aspect ratio of the image. So you do that, okay, and then what you have to do as well is to output this as a gamma, because it will put like this, very dark, if you don't put something at the end. So like the gamma correction. So you type that gamut. Okay, and then here you're gonna add the gamut, which is the output space, say sRGB. Everything looks blown, but once you get rid of this, then that's how it's gonna look. So once you have that, you have the resize, the gamut, make sure the output space sRGB. Then you can save it from here if you want. You can just go here and type Control Space Bar, you type saver, okay, add that, okay. And then here you say saver, and then you tell them I'm gonna save it into, I put it here, finals. Now I call this shot one JPEG, put the XR by default, but you just type JPEG, and that's it. So once you have that, you tell them, hey, I'm going to be rendering, for example, you don't want to render the whole thing because it doesn't make any sense. So you put here just one frame, okay. So you're going to be rendering 1 or 2 frames. I think it's 1 frame. And then you do that, select it, go into Fusion, and you said render all savers. Done. And then here, when you go into the files, final, you got 2 files, that's fine, JPEG, and you got your file image, you see, it's all rendered out. Now, obviously, this is just putting it together, but if, for example, if you have an issue, let's say, well, everything is not saturated now, everything is too dark, maybe I want to make things a little bit pop, like bloom, and I can make things like, for example, I can put another color corrector here. For instance, I can put another color corrector there. can just connect to here, and then in the color corrector I can say I can make a bit more contrasty. It's too much obviously. Maybe change the gamma a little bit, make everything a little bit brighter or a little bit darker, or I can make everything very warm if I want to, or greenish or bluish. So I can color correct things individually, you see. And you see that's press D to the so you can see before and after. I think in my here is D, but I don't know if it works right out the bat from Fusion like that, because I got some sort of plugins installed in my computer as well. So just gonna delete that. But the point is that you can just color correct things and you can do some changes. I know that some of you guys have some individual stuff that they need to be done, like I think some of you have like things on top of the water, so I can show you how later on individually how to do that. But the point is that this is how you put together the image. Okay, so you put it all together, and then you can just go here, and then you say, well, this guy is a little bit too red. I can probably color correct this glass. But I can go here into, for example, the glass. Okay, and the glass here I can put a color corrector. Okay, you see, and the glass I can make it, I don't know, green. You see, I can make it blue. Make it reddish. I can change the color to things, so you see you can make it like, I don't know, purplish. You see I just changed the whole color of just the glass because I did it only on the glass element. If I wanted to do it with the original like this, it would be quite difficult because I had to go and create a mask just for the panther and then color correct the panther and then put everything together. So by having this sort of broken down element, and you can individually target things, there would be more control if you have things like mask for individual elements, but that is a bit more complicated. So at the moment we're just gonna keep it like this simple. Okay, so that's it, guys. So once you have that, then you're ready to go. I mean, you could ignore this bit and then go all the way down here and then save it, but it's a bit more complicated because it's gonna do the whole edit and you don't want that. So I think it's easier if you just I'm just gonna save the project. So just go here and put a saver, and then make sure that you put only from 0 to 1, so you only have from 2 frames. Delete the other one, I don't care, just keep 1. And then you just hit here into Fusion, save, render all saved, and it will render just whatever you have between these sort of parameters. You could move these things around, you can see how they move. You can see now you're going to be saving 11 frames, but you don't want that. You can just put this to 0, and it will only, you see, only will do 1. Just keep it to 1, that's frame 0. And it will name it as well on a sequence. You see that's 0, 0, that's 0, 1, that's 0, 2, and then you can make a whole film out of that. But for now, I think that should be okay. So pretty much once you have that, you can just literally just copy and paste the other one and then recreate the other shot, and that should be fine. I kept this here because I was playing around with a few things, but I'm just going to delete this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold these up like this, so you can have like a sort of view of what this looks like. So I'm gonna try to upload this project into the Fusion, into the Canvas, so you can have this for your reference. I'm not gonna upload the files per se, but just the nodes, so you know exactly what the nodes are. Okay. Just rename things, guys, so you can just work on those elements easier in the viewport. Okay, so I think I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but I'm just gonna leave it there. Okay, so you can have a look. And then I'm just gonna move a little bit there, and then here the last bit. Okay, so that's it, guys. Thank you very much. I think the next bit we're gonna do is I'm just gonna be mostly review your work, and then probably recapping a few things here and there. Okay, all right. Thank you very much, guys. All right. Bye bye.